All right, Joe, do you want to start us off and I'll bring up the slides?
Sure. Well, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. So my name is Jared McMorris with Good Energy. I've been with Good Energy for almost 12 years, coming up here at the end of the month. Good Energy is a leader in the Ameren territory for municipal aggregation. Most recently, we were hired by the three largest chambers of commerce in central Illinois, the Peoria County Chamber, the McLean County Chamber, and the Champaign County Chamber of Commerce to handle their members' energy program. You probably are familiar with the energy program over the years. We'll get into that. Prior to that, I'm born and raised in Danville, and went to school at Eastern Illinois. I've been in Peoria for the last 20 years. So I cover all of Central Illinois in any responsibility that I've had with any of my jobs. So I feel like I know Central Illinois, as my family's all from here as well. So McLean County, my brother lives in Normal. McLean County is just as close to home from Peoria as Danville essentially was. So I'll let Gary go ahead and give himself a quick introduction, then we'll get on with the rest of our slides.
Sure. So my name is Gary Swantner. I am a director of strategic partnerships for Good Energy. I actually work with some other chambers as well on a national level. My main one being the Cincinnati Chamber of Commerce, which is one of the fifth largest chamber in the country. So a lot of experience coming in with working with chamber members in various markets. This has been a really fun one for McLean, Peoria, and Champaign. And we've done a lot of great business, especially off the bat with some changing market conditions in Ameren. So this slide deck in this presentation today will be kind of an update versus what we showed last year. The market's very different now than what it was then. So we are going to start off with a video that'll explain the program real quick before we go into a bit more detail. But this is now on the McLean County website. So this website here is where you can upload bills and your LOE, your letter of exclusivity, which lets us view your data within the Ameren portal. But this is a very easy platform to upload your bills and get the process started. Jared or I will respond to your inquiry within 24 hours and get going on your pricing. We may have some questions off the bat. But let's start this video, which gives a little overview of how the program works.
McLean County Chamber of Commerce members can take advantage of deregulated energy markets through the McLean County Chamber Energy Cooperative. Most members receive electricity and natural gas service through Ameren, the utility company in Central Illinois. If you participate in the program, Ameren will continue to be your utility by maintaining the poles and wires along with managing your billing. As part of your McLean County Chamber membership, you can receive an annual evaluation of your energy spending by our partner, Good Energy, who has more than 15 years of experience working with customers in Central Illinois. They'll see if you're on the right track to help you make the best decisions for your unique business needs. The Chamber Energy Cooperative leverages the combined buying power of its members to get better rates. By participating in this program, you're also supporting McLean County Chamber programs and events that benefit local businesses like yours. It's a winning combination for businesses in the McLean County area. The goal of the program is for members to choose an alternative supplier to save money or to use more renewable energy than what is required by the state of Illinois. Sometimes we can do both, from large manufacturers to neighborhood restaurants. If you directly pay your utility bills, the Chamber Energy Cooperative may be able to help lower your operating expenses. Let's take a look at your bill. By selecting an alternative supplier, you will only change the amount you pay for each commodity in the supply portion of your bill. Ameren will continue to bill for the delivery of electricity and natural gas and provide service as they always have. Please visit our website for more information. You can upload your bills to begin your free evaluation and start taking control of your energy expenses. Our partner, Good Energy, is ready to answer all of your questions.
All right, so it's a brief overview of the program. I'll turn over to Jared to go over some more specifics of the program.
Sure. So as the video mentioned, Illinois is a deregulated state. It deregulated in 2007, giving residents and business owners the ability to find alternative suppliers on the third party market. Ameren will continue to be your utility for electricity, and if you are a Nicor natural gas user, Nicor will continue to be the utility on the natural gas side. Some folks in McLean County have Nicor as their gas utility, and some still have Ameren as their natural gas utility. Since the deregulation happened, the state of Illinois determined that Ameren cannot make or lose money on the supply side of the bill. So they are uninterested in the supply side. They are only profitable on the delivery side, which is what makes sure that the pipes and wires are flowing properly and that you're getting the electricity to your home, office, etc. So that's how Ameren, the utility, is paid. They continue to provide consistent service and will continue to be the one that you call in case of an outage or any questions that you have on your bill on the delivery side. Suppliers, then we work within multiple suppliers, helping to find the most competitive bid, the most competitive offer on the supply side. We have a year-to-year, a price to compare, which we'll get into later, that Ameren has to offer. It's a price of last resort. So Ameren purchases their power on the open market a couple times a year. And then they have that on a yearly basis, their price that is the default service price. Typically, we've always been able to find customers a better price to compare. And in fact, if we aren't able to, then we don't wind up signing customers. You know, we show what the Ameren price is on a pricing proposal, and then move forward with the lowest supplier for the term length that the customer is most comfortable with. Your supply portion of your bill, you probably see all those line items. We're going to talk about the two biggest ones and the two that are the most volatile today, which is the commodity, the actual supply, the actual energy that we can purchase on forward markets, and then also capacity, which is capacity is the ability to have power on demand. So just because we're purchasing the power up front, in the hottest day of the year, maybe like what we had a couple of weeks ago, the grid can have some issues, and everyone's cranked up their air conditioner. There's tons of kilowatts flowing through the grid, and so capacity is the ability to have the energy available so that your air conditioner continues to run, and you're able to do your laundry at home, and that you're able to keep the lights on in your buildings on the hottest day of the year. So those are the two items that we'll talk about a little bit more in depth. We've got a few slides on the commodity and the capacity side that Gary will get into. But then lastly, natural gas is purchased on market-driven basis. A lot of that market-driven basis is actually weather. Most people use natural gas for the most part in the winter months. Obviously, natural gas is used in the Ameren territory for heating and Nicor area for heating. And so the cold of winter is not always the most opportune time to purchase natural gas. The end of winter actually is, though. And so we look at weather patterns on natural gas. We look at seasonality and time of year to purchase natural gas. If you are a Nicor customer, you can leave the utility, the Nicor utility, on natural gas at any time, at any point. But if you are an Ameren customer, there's only one time a year that you can leave the natural gas into a third-party supplier. So we'll get into that a little bit more in detail. And if folks have questions about that specific to them, we'd be happy to answer those questions. So go ahead, Gary.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the market. And I don't want to go into too much detail because we'll get into some numbers, but I think a lot of this is relevant to understand why things changed so drastically. On June 1 of last year, June 1 of 2022, the Ameren market changed significantly. The days of below 5 cent, below 6 cent power really fundamentally changed at that point, and that's really because of this piece that Jared has talked about called capacity, which is this reliability charge. The grid, MISO, which is the Mid-American grid that goes through Minnesota, down to Arkansas. So a lot of those Midwest states are on the same grid. And what happened last year is there's a lot of speculation that they were going to be decommissioned, especially on the coal side. So the price of this reliability charge skyrocketed. I'm going to jump to the next slide and then come back to this one. So really what happened here was, you can see in 2022, 2023, so the energy year goes from June 1 to May 31 of the following year, that there was a massive spike. So capacity used to be cheap as dirt in MISO, except for that little blip in 2015 through kind of 2017. But we saw it fundamentally change in 22, 23. Now, as it shows, 21, 22 was $5, and now we're in this $10 market. But where we really are seeing things on the forward market, because suppliers, when we go into a contract that goes past the current energy year, we have to purchase capacity for that following year. Now, what may seem like 2022, 23 being the anomaly and 24 going back to normal, based on what we're seeing in the market and communicating with suppliers, or they're communicating back to us, is that really the 23, 24 number being at $10 is really the anomaly. Everyone is expecting the price to jump back up. Now, it may not go back to that 200 plus number, but they really are expecting it to jump up between that 150, 200 for the 24, 25 year that will start on June 1, 2024. So with that number being so high, it creates a higher number on the price per kilowatt hour that you end up paying, both on third-party supply, but both on your default rate for Ameren. So we'll show a little bit later on what the default rates were for Ameren when it jumped from 5 and change to over 13 last year. So kind of going through these, the 2023 result really shocked the market. And last year at this time, we were really scrambling to find solutions to kind of weather the storm, because we really didn't know what was going to happen. MISO also changed the structure for capacity in a lot of ways, which kind of created some turmoil in the market and making things very unpredictable. So what we're seeing for 24, 25 is for that number to rise again. And again, we're trying to figure out the best strategy for weathering that storm moving forward, because years after that, suppliers are still thinking it's going to be above $150 per megawatt day for that number. So the commodity prices have finally become less volatile. The next couple of slides will show how volatile those were last year and how it's calmed down this year. Now they're still higher than where they were, say, back in 2018, 2019, but at least they've calmed down. We're not seeing 5-10% adjustments on any given day like we did last August. But we're still, a little bit higher than where we were, but at least we're not seeing massive fluctuations. Because we're seeing massive fluctuations, what happens is the supply side needs to basically factor in a risk premium for that. So if they're buying power on the open market, they need to factor in that number might adjust 2, 3, 4% on any given day, either directions. They need to factor in a risk for them, because it's financial risk that they're trying to really cover up. So natural gas, as Jared said, is really market-based. And right now we're seeing both weather and world economics play into this. Obviously last February, we saw the natural gas market get shaken up when there was some conflict in Eastern Europe. So that really adjusted how the natural gas market was affected, not only from weather, but then this past winter, going into it, the market was saying it's going to be a pretty bad winter, and ended up being quite mild. So prices dropped significantly in February, which we'll again see in a second. Suppliers have also, just due to the turmoil in the capacity market and the commodities market, have become more risk averse. So the risk premiums that used to be X% are now 2X. They've gone up quite a bit. So the more predictable customers are, the less risk premiums they'll see in their pricing. Which is something we worked with some customers on, try to figure out how to become a bit more predictable in usage. So again, this shows that capacity auction. Last year was just really, really tough, and we had to weather the storm. This year is down, so we're trying to take advantage of it where we can. But again, the market is really predicting that we're going to go back up above 150, and we're going to stay there for the foreseeable future, probably the next 2 or 3 years, because of those decommissioning of coal plants, becoming more reliable on natural gas. And obviously there's more strain on natural gas with decommissions around the country. It really is a global and domestic product. So this is last year. So when I was talking about volatility, this is about as volatile as the market gets. So the top chart is a 12-month strip. So this is an average of the next 12 months on the forward markets. And then the bottom chart shows calendar years looking forward. So, it used to be where we just didn't. And okay, let me just jump to the next slide, maybe make it easier. So this is July of 2022 when we did this same presentation for McLean County. This is this year. So obviously the left side of the top chart shows how it's still volatile. Then after the cool winter, so you can see about March or February, March, things calmed down, and the volatility, the price came down, but also the volatility is significantly less than what we saw. So this makes prices so much easier to work with now. Now, again, they're still higher than where we were, but at least they're not as volatile. So there's less risk premium baked in. Also, on the lower chart, basically the years flipped. So it became where outer years were actually more expensive. But now, closer years were more expensive. Now outer years are more expensive.
Okay. I found this on the web for years flipped, so it became, or where outer years were actually more expensive, but now are outside.
Jared,
Check it out.
Sorry, my computer started talking to me for no reason. All right, there we go.
All right, am I up? Okay, great. So as we mentioned, Ameren is required to offer a tariff price. What we see here is this year's, the June 1 through May 31 of 24, summer rates and non-summer rates. We are getting close to not being in that summer rate. However, I think this is probably one of the first years that the summer, non-summer that I can remember, at least in my short-term memory, where the two numbers are practically identical. I mean, it's a 0.15 cent difference, which is a tenth of a penny, but it is very close. And so Ameren has tightened things up an awful lot, and they've made the summer and the non-summer very close. So then what we do below is we take a weighted average. Most people use most of their power during those summer months, and so we put a little more premium as far as usage into the summer months, because there's a higher amount of kilowatts being used on a yearly basis, and then we average that number. So this is a weighted average annualized tariff rate of 9.7. So that's really the price that we're looking at when we look at Daryl, if you were to send us your bills, we would take a look and we would see, oh, you know what, his weighted average is different because for some reason in January, he uses a whole lot more energy, or December, maybe you've got a lot of Christmas lights, Daryl, for your building. And we'll take a look at that, and that's your weighted average. So each customer is going to get a slightly different weighted average yearly tariff price based off of your business's usage. And so that's really what we're trying to beat. That's the number that we're pushing our suppliers to beat, that number, so that we come in below the Ameren price to compare. Just to kind of fall back on the volatility that we've seen over the last 3 years. 2 years ago, in the 21-22 rate year, the average price to compare was 5.78. And then last year, it shocked the system. I believe it was over 14 cents for the non-summer price. So it blended in somewhere around 13.3. So now here we are back at 9.7. We don't know 100% where things will go June 1 of 2024. But we do anticipate, with the expectation of capacity going back up, that will probably affect the price to compare by another cent or 2 cents. So there's no guarantees in life, but we do feel like we're currently at the Ameren low on the DS2, or the business side of things. So really that kind of just shows where the pricing's at and what we're looking to beat. So the programs that we run for the chamber, we have 4 offerings. Obviously, electricity, that's what we've covered in depth. Briefly touched on natural gas. And then we also do something called demand response. And now demand response is a program for larger end users. And Daryl, we might be able to look at your building and see, okay, yeah, because I have several Peoria downtown buildings that we have on the demand response program. So demand response is a program that pays you to curtail or not use your power on a given day. As we mentioned, with capacity being through the roof last year, that opened up a market. So it's a lot more cost effective for an end user, for a building, to curtail their power, as opposed to have the system, the grid operator, ramp up and bring more power into the grid. So if they know that they've got 500 businesses, buildings that can follow a plan to shut down certain aspects of their building, then they're actually saving those kWh and those kilowatts, and they will pay you to be on this program. And if you go through a situation where we do have an event, you get paid for that as well. So that is something that we don't currently yet have any McLean County Chamber members, but we do have a couple Champaign, and we have about 4 or 5 here in the Peoria region that are participating in demand response. All told, this is this is a relatively new program. These folks all signed up in January, February of 23, when capacity really shook the system. In Illinois, Good Energy represents approximately 20 to 25 businesses, communities through demand response. But it is absolutely an opportunity for businesses to make money off of their energy. And then lastly, we didn't really get into a whole lot, but we do have renewable energy credits that we can purchase for you if that is a goal for your business. So yeah, move on to the next slide. So the easiest part is to go to that website where Gary started the video, upload your bills, and fill out the form that's on the chamber landing page, and we can take a look at that. We'll ask you some questions. We'll get information out to our suppliers, and then we'll have information. We'll have a pricing proposal back to you probably within a week. Typically within a week. If you have your contract, if your contract is up for renewal in the next 3 months, then we would like it as soon as possible. Even if it's a year from now, we can still put you in the queue to start working on that 5 to 6 months out from your renewal. So it's always best to have that those bills and your information uploaded, and we'll have those that piece of information working going forward. Gary, any additional thoughts that you have?
No, I think that's good for me. Daryl or Phil, do you have any questions for us at this time?
How soon do you need this information for this evaluation to occur?
It really just depends on your specific circumstances. If you're on current tariff rate, if you're on Ameren, you're not having a third-party supplier, sooner is better. Because for every month you remain on Ameren default, you're paying roughly 10 cents, nine and change. We're currently seeing market rates anywhere between mid to high 7s to mid 8s is really where the market is, depending on obviously your specific situation. It'll be somewhere in that range. So no matter what, we'll get you a penny and change below that. And then we'll also just take a deep dive to see if demand response makes sense, if another product makes sense. And then if you're on NICOR for natural gas, we can switch soon. If you're on Ameren, depending on if you're with a third-party supplier currently and have a contract in place, we'll figure out when we can move forward. But what we say is always sooner is better. We also have a larger buying group. So what we say under electricity is that we do leverage the combined buying power of the chamber members. We actually also combine the buying power with both Peoria and Champaign members to have a larger buying group because, just like going to Costco, buying in bulk does make a difference. So we have a lot of businesses in this area tend to have a December buying cycle. So if it turns out that you are renewing in December of 2023, we can put you into that buying group and kind of create some larger economies of scale for the entire group. Anything else? And as we mentioned in the beginning, this will be recorded. So if anybody needs to jump back, please feel free to obviously contact us. Our email address and phone numbers are right there. We will typically respond within a couple hours. At the latest, we'll respond within 24. But we definitely want to make sure that people are served quickly. Also, because there is a time frame that is involved with switching customers over from default service to third party. I believe it's 10 to 15 business days to make the switch. And if we miss a billing cycle, so say if your billing cycle is on the 15th of the month, we really want to have something in place by the end of the following month to make sure we hit that date. Otherwise, we have to wait until the following billing cycle to enroll that customer.
Yeah. Right. So if I wanted to ask you guys to take a look at my situation, what do I deliver to you for your review?
Current bills are what we need for both commodity. If you have bills from both the utility and if you have third-party supply bills, sometimes they may be separate. Sometimes your Ameren charges may be on the supply bill, say from a direct energy at Constellation. I would say more information is better. And then we'll sift through what we need. And if we need more, we'll ask questions. But yeah, anything that pertains to your most recent bills for electricity and natural gas is best.
Okay.
Daryl, how many meters do you have at your building?
Oh, I've got, I think I've got 3. One of them is not used. There really are 2 main ones. So
Yeah.
I can get, it won't be difficult for me to get that information to you.
Right.
Yeah, and really all we need is 1 month's worth. It can be June or July, does not matter. 1 month's worth that has usage patterns on there, and obviously your Ameren account number. Are you on the Ameren tariff, or are you currently with a third-party supplier? Do you know?
I think it's Ameren. Mhm.
Okay. Yep. We'd be happy to take a look at that for you. If you're an Icor gas customer, send that along as well. You've got our emails there. You could also go to the chamber website and upload your bills there. But we just need scanned copies of the 1 month's bill.
Okay, fine.